Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha, and I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day and checking back and seeing what we're going to talk about today. Well, today I would like to share with you something that I shared with my students this week. It's going to involve using your imagination and a little bit of imagery to get us warmed up and get ready for this practice. I'll just give you a few stories. Well, actually, they're like situations, actually. May I invite you to, whatever your field is, think of an emergency situation. I'm in the medical field. I'm a nurse. And so what comes to my mind are the different types of emergencies that occurs within my profession. Now that you have that thought in your mind, think about the classes or the training that you were involved with to learn how to handle that emergency situation. Maybe you might feel that, well, I'm in whatever field and we don't have emergencies. I would really invite you and suggest that you kind of think a little bit about maybe it's not an emergency, but how about an unexpected event? And it could be a pleasant event. If you're in retail and there was a big sale going on and you had a unusual amount of customers show up, how would you handle that situation? You only have so much staff. You thought it was going to be a slow day. Think about the training of how to prepare for those type of unexpected situations. Okay. So with that being said, may I suggest that when we are in our profession, whatever it may be, part of learning our skills, our profession is included in that is how to respond to emergency situations, because when that situation occurs, you want to be ready. I know a lot of people will say it. I've heard people say, when I used to teach CPR, oh yeah, I know what I'll do if it's an emergency. I got it. I don't need to practice this. I don't need to have the test. I'm good. And I would just encourage them to kind of practice a little bit more. And then I would, put some scenarios just to increase the adrenaline and a little bit of stress so that my students at that time can really pull on what they have learned in performing CPR in the hospital. So that's from my point of view. So you use your point of view. And where I'm going with that is this exercise that we're going to practice is called looking for the anchor, our anchor that is within us. This is a mindfulness practice. And if you are familiar with what anchors are used for, ships or boats, anchor themselves to the dock, or if they're out in the away from the dock, they put their anchor down so the boat can not sway or move off course. So that's part of what we're going to include, is using our breath as an anchor. Before I take you through the steps of this exercise, because we're just about ready to start, I would like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing podcast to you. And thank you, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing podcast available to my listeners wherever they go. Okay, now, may I give some more information about how we're going to do our practice today? Here is the imagery exercise. First, get yourself in a comfortable position. If you're laying down, make sure you're comfortable. Be aware of any pressures or adjustments that you may need to make. This is a good time to readjust. If you're sitting in a comfortable chair or wherever you are at, it's a good time also to position yourself where you're comfortable. Put your feet flat on the floor, and just gently place your hands just gently on your knees. Just let them relax, or if you would like to, let them fall to the side, whatever is comfortable for you. Okay. Now, as you're listening, before we start, as you're listening, keep in mind that your breath, and when I say your breath, what I mean is simply breathing in and blowing out, just taking a relaxing breath. That is going to be the center point of your focus. May I kind of go back to what I was speaking about in teaching CPR when I was in the clinical field. One of the things we would encourage our students is proper, hand placement, and we would give them certain information so that they can have an idea that their hands are in the right position. So in the case of emergency, and when they've practiced and respond to the emergency in a controlled, calm way, because they have practiced so much and they can concentrate on what's going on in front of them. So with our practice in finding our anchor, our breath is going to be our anchor. And so we're going to practice finding our anchor. We could pay attention to the movement of our body as we breathe. And we can pay attention also to the temperature of the breath. Those are some things that we can actually pay attention to as we're working through this imagery. So that way you don't have to sit and think, it's like, okay, I'm breathing. What am I supposed to be thinking about? Those are just some clues. Okay. Another thing that we're going to do, I'm kind of combining two activities into one. And my reference for these activities is from positivepsychology.com. And they have a lot of wonderful resources, and I'm so happy and excited to share it with you. And I hope it helps and that you're able to use it. So another imagery that we are going to imagine is a hurricane. Now, a hurricane is a great big storm. It forms out in the ocean, and all the warmth and the cold, the winds, and it can do a lot of destruction. The thing about hurricanes is in the center of that hurricane, which is called the eye of the hurricane, is very quiet and calm. And looking at this hurricane as an image and using it as an analogy, the winds and the turbulence, imagine those are maybe things that's going on in your environment, feelings or anxieties, situations that is pretty turbulent to you in your life. So the idea of keeping the focus and keeping centered on the eye of the hurricane is not to become tied up in the wind of the storm. Stay centered, stay in the middle, and imagine that you are like an observer of the storm. So we're not ignoring the feelings or the anxiety. We are looking at it and paying attention to it, and at the same time, yet we are staying focused to the calmness. We're staying in the center. And it's my suggestion is that if we use our anchor, our breath, to be a focal point, that will help us to stay in that center, to stay in that quiet place. Because when we are able to remain in that center and remain in that calmness and remain on that anchor, using our breath as an anchor, our mind is problem solving. It's taking in the information. It's staying calm. It's able to come up with solutions or reactions that will not be impulsive. And taking a breath provides our bodies and our minds with not only oxygen, but it also, you're exhaling and you're blowing away. Just imagine you're blowing away the distractions, the feelings, or whatever the disruption is, and just blow it into the hurricane. But you're not part of the hurricane. You're looking at it. You're in the center. You're hanging on to your anchor. Okay, so that's the scenario. That's the talk, and I would like to take you through this activity, this practice. As I said, I'm getting my resource from positivepsychology.com, and they have a wonderful write-up and how the activity is, and I hope I do it justice. So now, reposition yourself, or if you need to, and get comfortable, because here we go. Now that you're in your comfortable position, your feet are firmly on the floor. If you're sitting in the chair, or if you're laying down, you're in a comfortable position. I ask if you would pay attention to the firmness of the floor beneath your feet. Pay attention and bring your awareness to your position in the chair. Paying attention to the firmness of the chair, or the cushiony textures of the chair. I invite you to close your eyes if you would like, or find a focal point. Bring your awareness to the texture of your clothing. Any softness or the roughness, just the texture. Just pay attention to the texture of your clothing. And at this time I invite you to take a big breath in and blow it out. And now take 2 more breaths, just breathing in and blowing out. When you're finished with those breaths, in your mind, picture an image of the storm, the hurricane. And this storm, this hurricane is not the hurricane from what we hear about in the weather report. It's our hurricane. It's our feelings, our disruptions, anxieties. That's making this wind, the disruption. And as you have that image and you see these feelings, the anxieties, this situation swirling, imagine you are in the center of the hurricane. The center is calm. No matter how much the hurricane, no matter how destructive, how strong, how large it is, the center, the eye of the storm is calm. And that's where you are. I invite you to use your anchor of your breath. And as you breathe in and release that breath, I encourage you to pay attention to the movement of your body, your limbs, your muscles, as you breathe in and blowing out the stress, the feelings, the anxiety. It's joining the wind and it's moving away. But you are calm. You are in the center. Your breath is your anchor. You are calm. You have your anchor. And your awareness is you're not part of the storm. You see the storm. You see what's going on around you. But you are not the storm. You are the calm. You are the anchor. And with your calmness and with your anchor, you are drawing your strength to move and overcome challenges, feelings, anxieties. Your mind is being recharged. Your body is being recharged because you're in the calmness. You're not exerting all the energy, and you're recharging. And now I invite you to open your eyes and take a big breath in, blow it out. It's a nice, refreshing, cleansing breath. And that's the end of the practice. That's the end of the exercise. So I hope that was helpful for you, and I encourage you to practice it as we practice for emergencies in our various professions, going back to the center, going back to that anchor. And so when things really do occur, or you find yourself caught in unexpected situations, Remember, you are the I. You are calmness. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we end our time together, I encourage you to visit tinytap.com and pull up my new tinytap.com game. It's the TinyTap app, and the game is called TAB, T-A-B, which stands for Transition Awareness Breathing, using mindfulness with emotions. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Have your children, or you could play it and enjoy it. Thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Have a great day.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.